Gather around the table once again for another session of Dungeons and Drakfus. Now a day late. Thanks, Master Blaster. Just in case people were curious about that, yes, Dungeons and Drakfus is today, because last week we actually had a game come out that I could not fit into the schedule. So that's why people were a little confused when they saw Drak Tries of Master Blaster 0 yesterday. And if you haven't checked that out, go check it out. But that's not why you guys are here. You guys are here to see us take on more dungeons and Drakfus. So let's go ahead and get things started. So we're going to be going into the second instance of the Coilfang Reservoir today. So people might remember last time we took on the slave pens, and for here, the Coilfang Naga are basically trying to gather whatever kind of resources they can. In the slave pens, it's basically slave labor. And here, it's going to be trying to take all the various flora, fauna, creatures, whatever they can get their hands on in the Underbog. So here we go for the Underbog. And again, same loading screen. This is just something to get used to in the Burning Crusade. And we have some quests here. First of all, from Tashu. So let's see. These mushrooms are unlike anything on the surface. They're said to bring great wisdom and clarity to those who eat them. I'm going to bring some back with me to Sporagar. Okay, so Stalk the Stalker. The spore giants may be attacking my people today, but the marshwalkers have taken more innocent lives than any creature I have ever seen. They are our ancient enemies. Their broodmother, the Black Stalker, resides deep within this bog. If you were to destroy her and bring me her brain as proof, I would tell tales of your bravery to my grandchildren. So we have to take care of the Black Stalker, which is the final boss of the Underbog. And then finally we have Bring Me a Shrubbery. My people use sanguine hibiscus for a number of purposes. It grows naturally only in the Underbog, and many of the bog's denizens have taken a liking to it. If you could bring me some, I would be very grateful. So yeah, this is the only place to get sanguine hibiscus, and I believe back in the day, you needed it for stuff yourself. You needed it for flasks and whatnot. So the next one is from Watcher Zhang. The Naga are pumping all of the water away for their own use, and entire species are dying out as a result. If we don't do something soon, what life is left on this dying world will disappear forever. So, rescuing the expedition. The last members of my expedition are somewhere in here. We're going to need the knowledge they've gathered and their skills if we're to have any chance at defeating the Naga. See if you can find Earthbinder Rage and Windcaller Claw, and make sure they're okay. So these are the final two druids that you actually need to take care of. There are none in the third instance. And then finally, this is actually one of the druids we rescued, Naturalist Bite.
Greetings.
Being able to study and learn from the Underbog is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. To think, I was practically dead not long ago in a crate in the slave pens. So a necessary evil. Hungerfen and Quagmiron used to jointly rule over the spore giants. With Quagmiron gone, the burden rests solely on Hungerfen's tendrils. We have no choice but to put the giant down before he can be enslaved and turned into a weapon. So there we go. We have all the quests. We basically need to take care of a bunch of bosses and gather some sanguine hibiscus. So let's get to it. Okay. Now for this one, again, we're probably just going to turn off the auto loot feature because I want to make sure that we save some inventory space. Let's go ahead and get things started. So there isn't a whole lot to the Underbog, but it is a pretty place to look at the very least. Because it's basically like untamed land within the Coilfang Reservoir. There we go. Oh, we're almost done with our freaking hibiscus. There we go. That's all 5 of them, so now we don't need to worry about it. But now we have bog giants to take care of. Oh no. We don't really care too much. Now that I've taken care of the sanguine hibiscus, I can kind of avoid a lot of this trash. Make things go a little bit quicker. Mode of life, I don't really care. I sold off all my motes. Because silly, I'm in Wrath of the Lich King now. I don't need that stinking motes. Unless I wanted to do transmog or something like that. So if we come up this way, Now, people might have noticed I didn't read the dungeon journal for the Underbog. It's because it's the same thing for the slave pens. That's why I tried to do the Wowpedia entry before. So now that we're in the Underbog, and this is actually where Hungerfen is, let's go ahead and look into the lore of Hungerfen. Unlike his ally Quagmiron, the great fungal giant Hungerfen has thus far eluded enslavement by the Naga. Nonetheless, he remains aggressive to all outsiders who tread into the deepest caverns of Zangarmarsh. Oblivious to the Naga's machinations in other parts of the region, Hungerfen spends much of his time tending to the Underspore, an ancient plant said to be his most prized possession. Okay, so now that we've taken care of the lore, let's go ahead and take care of Hungerfen. So this is basically a spore giant design there that I'm actually very fond of the spore giant. I really wish we could have done more with that, especially in Warlords of Draenor, where we were hinted to get a fungal whale that was like a predecessor to the bog giant. And that sadly didn't happen. Oh, and there's the... Here's the, what was it called? The Underspore. That's what he's actually guarding. So, there you go. Onward and upward we go. And I believe there actually was a quest to, like, harvest something from the Underspore back in the day. And you'd get additional rewards. But, sadly, that quest doesn't really exist anymore. Okay, there we go. So we have pretty much at least one boss done here of 4. That's how long this place is. But thankfully, we can just kind of skip through the trash because these, unfortunately, bog giants and all that will not drop anything useful. So we'll just go ahead and kill them. And now we're on to the Naga portion of the Underbog. I wonder what's here. Maybe Naga? Survey says Naga! There we go. So now we can start making a living out of here. Whee! Way! Let's just go ahead and kill off everything in here. So these are both a combination of enslaved broken as well as the kind of other tribes of the Ash Tongue, which is what the tribe that worked for Akama. And Akama worked for Illidan directly. So at that point, most of these are Merc Blood, and I believe they are associated with the Ash Tongue in some weird way. Whee! Well, we'll go ahead and we'll take your greens too. We'll take your greens. We can sell those. Boop. Beep boop bop. There we go. Kill off these remaining ones, and now we are actually at the second boss. You can see him off in the distance there, Gazran, or Gazan, in the Underbog. So let's go and look into his lore. Historians have long disagreed about whether the immense hydras of Azeroth and Outland share a common ancestor. What is clear, however, is that these ruthless creatures have existed on both realms since ancient times. Gazan is one of the most infamous and fearsome hydras in all of Outland. Under the control of Lady Vaj, this ravenous fiend has stormed the lower reaches of Zangarmarsh to terrorize the region's denizens. And it just so happens that he actually pats up here, so... Yay! That's a big Hydra right there. Whoa, boy. Hi there, big fella.
I'm out of range.
And now you're dead. Well, that wasn't too hard. And we took your belt. The belt you swallowed up in your throat. That's just what we do. That's what we do. Now, it looks kind of interesting. Where do we go from here? This kind of looks like a dead end. Well, it just so happens that if you go into the water to face Gazan, which is what you're supposed to do, not what you're supposed to do. You actually have to bring him up here. But there is an opening in Gazan's tank. And this takes us into the other side of the Underbog. I'm sure I'm going to see a bunch of jokes in the comments for this one. It's kind of hard to avoid with this one. It's the Underbog, after all. Okay, I'm trying to remember if there's anything over in this... Actually, you know what? There might actually be a druid here. Yes, Earthbinder Rage. So let's go ahead and talk to him. Thank goodness for you. Claw and I were investigating this place when we were jumped by Swamp Lord Musalek. Unfortunately, Claw was caught in bear form at the time, and now the Swamp Lord's pet. I'm afraid you'll have to fight Claw in order to save him. So this is actually a reference to, like, early WoW, and I do actually want to address this, because it's actually a fun little concept. Back in the day, when WoW was as broken as it ever was, there was actually a bug in it that if a druid was in animal form, so either cat form or bear form or whatever, let's see, I don't think it worked on the cheetah, and I don't think it worked on the boomkin, but bear and cat form, hunters could technically use their tame pet ability on them and tame them. So you technically lose the character. This was obviously very quickly fixed, but they decided to reference it in the Underbog and actually have a druid who has been tamed by a hunter and therefore is fighting against his will. So I actually did like the subtle allusion to a mistake that even Blizzard acknowledged was pretty dumb. Okay, so let's go ahead and keep moving on. And in this case, this Swamp Lord Muselek is the one who initially captured... Oh, what? Yeah, it's Windcaller Claw. And so we will actually have to fight Claw for a little bit. But at the same time, it is a hunter, so we might actually have to deal with hunter abilities. I know. Fancy that. Okay, unfortunately, these guys aren't going to drop any greens or anything like that, but hey, we'll make this work. There we go. So there is Swamp Lord Muselek, so let's go ahead and look into his lore. To be one of the broken is to be an outcast. This truth weighs heavy on Swamp Lord Muselek. Although he is a member of the Murkblood Broken, he prefers to roam the caverns beneath Zangarmarsh alone. During one of his recent wanderings, he used his mastery over beasts to enthrall Windcaller Claw, a druid who had been exploring the area in the form of a ferocious bear. Muselek has forced Claw to act as a loyal companion, who will not judge him for the twisted being he has become. Alright, so here we go. Let's start things up with... Survey says Swamp Lord! And unfortunately, we do have to take out Claw, or at least knock him to his senses. And there we go. We've done it. So...
What brings you here?
How embarrassing to be taken as a pet by a hunter. I owe you my life. Now that you've freed me from Muselek, I'll be able to find my way out. Okay, there we go. So let's go ahead and grab our loot. Just some pants. Pants? I already have pants. They're plain. I don't want to wear those. Those are disgusting. Ew. Leather for me, buddy. Yeah. Breathes. People find stuff out about Drakfu in these videos that doesn't make sense to them. But hey. And also, in case you were having issues getting Sanguine Hibiscus, it is actually growing out in the middle of the instance, so you can get, I think, herbalism skill ups for it. But it's time for us to take on the final boss of the Underbog, known only as the Black Stalker. And there he is. So people might remember, like, when we took on the big stalkers back in our Burning Crusade playthrough. So this guy is the leader of all of them, and let's go into his lore. The Marshwalkers of Outland are towering creatures that prowl the wilds, feasting on any lesser creatures they come across. The Sporlings of Zangarmarsh tell tales concerning one of these predators, a particularly ruthless beast, known as the Black Stalker. Broodmother to all Marshwalkers, it is said she emerges from her lair deep in the Underbog only to satisfy her hunger for delicious Sporlings. Delicious. All right, let's go ahead and take care of the Black Stalker, and we have to get her brain for a Sporling. Boom! And now we have done the Underbog. Oh, and we got the Skulldugger's leggings, which is leather. They look... no, they're not really. This is actually the dungeon set for... I want to say rogues? Yeah, because it was probably rogues, because druids were more casters in Burning Crusade. But, yep, there you go. That is pretty much the Underbog right there. But before we take off, because I keep on forgetting to do it and people keep reminding me, please do that, guys, because I do forget. We're going to do a quick magic cut. Actually, no, we're not, because they are just right over here. Let's go ahead and turn in these quests. We're back. Let's go ahead and talk to Shu. All right, so stalk the stalker.
Oh, you have returned. Does this mean that the Black Stalker is no more?
Yes, it does. The Black Stalker is dead. Normally I would not revel in such butchery, but the pain that the Great Mother and her brood have put my people through over the centuries is unspeakable. You have my deepest thanks, brave monk. And for that we get a power-infused mushroom. Yes, Nintendo reference here. We don't necessarily care because none of this is going to be helpful to us, but okay. Then bring me a shrubbery. Were you able to gather any hibiscus? Yes, we were. Those will do nicely, but we could always use more. Perhaps you'll find yourself in the underbog again soon. Yes, probably. No, probably not. Naturalist Bite. You've done all of Zangarmarsh a favor this day, Drakfu. The spore giants may be naturally aggressive, but they're still a vital part of the ecosystem. There we go, and then Watcher Zhang.
I am honored.
Soon we'll all be together again, and I owe it all to you. We'll bring the Naga down before you know it. They don't stand a chance. Okay.
Good luck, friend.
And that does it for the Underbog. So thank you guys so much for joining me on this journey. Please continue to like, comment, and subscribe on all the videos that I do. I do really appreciate it, and it does help me to be able to either earn a living or be able to do what I continue to love to do. But next time, people might think we're going to the next instance of the Coilfang Reservoir, and instead, we're going to be going into the first instance of the ancient, yet destroyed, Draenei Holy Site of Auchindoun. We'll see you guys next week.